Charles III is currently at London's Westminster Abbey, where he's been officially crowned monarch in Britain's biggest ceremonial event for 7 decades. He succeeds his mother, Queen Elizabeth, when she died September at the age of 74. He is the oldest British monarch to have the 360-year-old St. Edward crown placed on his head as he sits upon a 14th century throne at London's Westminster Abbey. The king and his wife Camilla, who is 75, is being crowned queen during the 2-hour ceremony.
To make, subscribe and declare to the statutory accession declaration oath.
I am willing. I, Charles, do solemnly and sincerely, in the presence of God, profess, testify and declare that I am a faithful Protestant, that I will, according to the true intent of the enactments which secure the Protestant succession to the throne, uphold and maintain the said enactments to the best of my powers, according to law.
In Abbey, watched by about 100 heads of state and dignitaries, including the U.S. First Lady Jill Biden, and millions on TV, King Charles is being crowned as his predecessor have been from time of William the Conqueror in the past. And back to Nigeria, ahead of the swearing-in of the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29th, the State House management has begun the renovation and refurbishment of sections of the presidential villa in Abuja. The concrete perimeter fence encompassing the President's office, official residence, the council chamber, press gallery, as well as other administrative offices were being overlaid with white new paint. The second batch of Sudanese evacuees have arrived in Nigeria. They arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport yesterday afternoon with about 130 persons on board. The returnees, 128 females and 2 males, were received by government officials and others. The Director General of the National Management Emergency Agency, Ahmed Mustafa, provides an update.
Control, it's 2 days. Beyond our control depends on what happens. And we just gave you an example of 2 students who had unruly behavior, who crossed the lines without necessary documentation. And they caused the entire 500 students to be returned and punished because of their unruly behavior. That has set our clock back 10 hours. And the 10 hours is depending on whether we are able to conclude before nightfall. By the time it's nightfall, the gates are closed. We can no longer guarantee the 10 hours. It has to be the next morning. So in this case, I want to assure you that within all limits, in what we call in chemistry, STP, standard temperature and pressure.
One of the returnees, a student, narrated our ordeal in Sudan.
Funny. It was something I've never really experienced before. The stress, the desperation, the panic, the fear. It was a whole lot of emotions, I guess, yeah.
Date for the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly. Elected senators on the platform of the All Progressives Congress continued last night with their horse trading. At the meeting held at the Ebonyi State Governor's Lodge here in Abuja, the host, Governor Dave Umahi, stepped down for Senator Godswill Akpabio in the race for the office of the Senate President. He made the disclosure at the end of the closed-door meeting. 2 other contenders for the ticket were also at the enlarged meeting. Senator representing Borno South, Alin Dume, and his counterpart representing Kano North, Barau Jibrin, also announced that Senator Akpabio, who won the last February national election to represent Akwa Ibom Northwest, is their consensus candidate.
Brother came on consultation with me, but yesterday I saw the president-elect on his invitation, and he told me that he's already committed, and he said, please don't run. And I accepted, and I stepped down for my brother, Senator Fabio. He's my consensus candidate. As you can see, I'm leading the campaign for Fabio because he is the president's preferred candidate, and we have to put the interest of the country, the party, above any other interest.
Interior General Abdurrahman Dambaso has assured Nigerians that the planned inauguration of President-elect Senator Bola Tinubu on May 29th will go on according to plan. General Dambaso, who was speaking to reporters in Abuja, says Nigeria has a president-elect and anyone dissatisfied with the result of the election should be in court by now.
Is that the elections have been conducted. INEC has already made pronouncement as to who won the election. So everybody, and that is settled. So anybody who has an issue over that by now must have gone to court. So they should allow the court to look into the issues.
And for some foreign stories now, Saudi Arabia is to host the first face-to-face talks between the warring armies in Sudan after several ceasefires broke down. A joint U.S.-Saudi statement welcomed the start of the pre-negotiation talks in Jeddah between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support force. And in sport, Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne faces a fitness test on the injury that has caused him to miss the last two games. Manager Pep Guardiola has to decide whether to recall goalkeeper Eriksen after Steven Ortega started against West Ham on Wednesday. Tottenham captain Hugo Lloris has been ruled out for the season with a hip injury. Crystal Palace have defender available again after a knee problem. And that's it. FM News at noon. I am Lawrence Omoiti. Back to the live coronation of King Charles III in London. Of the coronation of King Charles III in London.
This seat of royal dignity, which is yours by the authority of Almighty God, may that same God, whose throne endures forever, establish your throne in righteousness, that it may stand fast forevermore.
So the king has been enthroned, escorted by the Archbishops of Canterbury and York, Bishop's Assistant, and the great officers of state. Now the Archbishop of Canterbury will declare his loyalty.
I, Justin, Archbishop of Canterbury, will be faithful and true, and faith and truth I will bear unto you, our sovereign Lord, defender of the faith, and unto your heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Prince of Wales steps forward.